Shalom Aleichem, meine liebe Freund. Ich heiße Mottel Dittner und das ist 15 Minuten Yiddish. Mehr weniger. Jede Woche bringen wir euch eine Mini-Lektie in Jiddisch Sprach und Kultur von dem Nationalen Jiddisch-Theater Volksbühne. Welcome back to 15-Minute Yiddish. If you missed any of our past episodes, Daiga nicht, you can view them all online at nytf.org. Today, we're going to talk about Beziehungen, relationships. Mostly we'll focus on human relationships, but we're going to start out by looking at spatial and comparative relationships that can apply to people, places, or things. We have already learned weit von, leben, und knowend zu. If you would like a refresher, you can refer to Season 1, Episode 6. Wayne. Von Japan, wo ist Argentina? Argentina is sehr weit von Japan. Good. When using nouns with an article, don't forget what happens when the noun is the object of a preposition. Professor. Von dem Äppel, wo ist der Marans? Der Marans is knowend zu dem Äppel. Sehr gut. We can also say, sie seien knowend zu sich. They are close to each other. We have also learned auf rechts und auf links. To review this, please refer to Season 1, Episode 14. Sophia. Von dem Marans, wo ist der Äppel? Der Äppel is auf rechts. Sehr gut. Über is over, unter is under. Now don't forget, it's not just the article that changes when the noun is the object of a preposition, but the adjectives get different endings as well. Murray. Von dem blauen Buch, wo ist das grüne Buch? Das grüne Buch ist über dem blauen Buch. Gut. Und hinter. Von dem blauen Buch, wo ist das orange Buch? Das orange Buch ist unter dem blauen Buch. Ausgezeichnet. Vor is in front of, hinter is behind. Scott. Von der Freu in dem grünen Hemd, wo ist die Freu in der blauer Bluske? Die Freu in der blauer Bluske is vor der Freu in dem grünen Hemd. Die Freu in dem grünen Hemd is hinter der Freu in der blauer Bluske. Sehr gut. Entgegen means opposite. This can be both opposing an idea or an action, or physically being on opposite sides while facing one another. Ein Katschke is entgegen der zweiter Katschke. Die Katschkes seien entgegen sich. When making comparisons, we need to use a preposition as well. Der Bräuner Binien is klein. Der Reuter Binien is kleiner. Der Reuter Binien is kleiner von dem Bräunem Binien. Before we can talk about human relationships, we need to tackle a bit of meshugene Grammatik.
Oi.
Oh,
Very
oi. Ich weiß, but we really do need to learn this stuff. We've already learned our pronouns in what is called the nominative case. This is when we are referring to a person or a thing that is the subject of the sentence. Ich, du, sie, es, mir, ihr und sie. We've also learned pronouns in the dative case. This is when a person or a thing is the indirect object or the object of a preposition. Mir, dir, im, ihr, im, uns, euch, und sie. There is a third case called the accusative case.
J'accuse!
Not that kind of accusative. Professor, do you care to explain?
Avade. The accusative case is used for a noun or a pronoun to denote the person or thing acted upon by a verb. In other words, the direct object of the sentence.
Hartlichen Dank, Professor. We have the accusative in English as well, but the pronouns are identical to the dative case. Me, you, him, her, us, you, and them. In Yiddish, however, there are some differences. Mich, dich, ihm stays the same as the dative. Sie und es, the third person singular, feminine, and neutral, revert back to the nominative, and all of the plurals, uns, euch, und sie, stay the same as the dative. And if that weren't confusing enough, the real confusion comes in trying to figure out when to use which one. Lemoshel, ich bring dir an Apple. In this one, we use the dative case because there is an implied preposition. I bring to you an apple. For an example of the accusative case, ich hab dich lieb. I like you. Or I love you, depending on the context. And now I'm going to really confuse you.
Noch etwas.
We also have to deal with article and adjective ending changes.
What are you kidding me?
But only for singular masculine nouns.
It'd be easy.
Was meint Ich weiß. Why do you think I call it mishugene Grammatik? The good news is that the masculine singular in the accusative is the same as the dative. Let's take a look. Here we have our articles. Notice that the masculine singular article in the accusative is dem, same as in the dative, while the neutral, feminine, and plural stay the same as if they were in the nominative, dos, die, und die. The same thing is true with adjectives. In the singular masculine accusative, our endings are n or nun, en or ayin nun, and em or ayin mem, same as the dative. The neutral, feminine, and plural stay the same as if they were in the nominative. Let's take a look at a few examples. Ich bring dir dem roten Apfel. I bring you the red apple. Ich is in the nominative. It's the subject of the sentence. Dir is in the dative. It is the object of an implied preposition zu. I bring to you the red apple. Dem roten Apfel. Apple is masculine. This is in the accusative. Let's take a look at what happens when we have a neutral noun. Ich bring dir das rote Buch. Das rote Buch is in the accusative, but the article and the adjective endings are the same as if it were in the nominative. Here's an example with a feminine noun. Ich bring dir die rote Feder. I bring you the red pen. And here is an example in the plural. Ich bring dir die rote Teppich. I bring you the red cups. Now, if you is the thing that I am bringing, there's a change. Ich bring dich aheim. You are the thing that I am bringing. Chlor? Deigenisht. With practice, this will become second nature. Now, all of this ties into feelings which define or describe our relationships to one another. Let's start by looking at some friendly relationships. Der Chaver, die Chaverte, plural, die Chaverim. This word can be used for both platonic friends or for a boyfriend and girlfriend. Chosen Kale, bridegroom and bride. This could also be Chosen Chosen or der Kale Kale. Mann und Freu, husband and wife. This could also be Freu und Freu or der Mann und Mann. Eltern und Kinder, parents and children. Der Shutef, die Shutefte, plural, die Shutfim. This is partners either in the business partner sense or in a personal relationship. To these people I would say, Ich hab dich lieb. I like you or I love you. Now let's take a look at some not so friendly relationships. Der Soine, plural, die Sonim. Der Konkurrent, die Konkurrentke, oder die Konkurrenten. Rivals. To these people I would say, Ich hab dich nicht lieb, oder Ich hab dich feind. However, and there's always a however, some verbs use a preposition, like mit or von. With those, we use the dative. You just need to remember if a verb uses a preposition or not. Here are some verbs that do not use prepositions. Ich hab dich lieb. Du machst mich glücklich. Here's a verb with a preposition. Ich hab Nachricht von dir. And let's look at some negative examples. Ich hab dich feind. Du bringst mich in Kass. Here's one with a preposition. Ich bin in Kass mit dir. Another emotion verb which describes a relationship, makane sein, to be jealous. No preposition. Ich bin dich makane. And here's a verb describing an emotion which does use a preposition, moire haben, to be afraid. This one uses the preposition far. Ich hab moire far dir. Speaking of verbs, it's verb time. Today's verb is gefallen, to please. And even though this verb does start with a GE or a gimel ayin, it is in fact in the present tense, and it's a regular verb. Let's take a look. Ich gefell. Du gefällst. Sie es gefällt. Mir gefällen. Ihr gefällt. Sie gefällen. Alle zusammen. Ich gefäll. Du gefällst. Sie es gefällt. Mir gefällen. Ihr gefällt. Sie gefällen. Sehr, sehr gut. Gefallen can be used to express liking something without an implication of love. And it's one of those nouns that does have an implied preposition, zu, and so it uses the dative case. Du gefällst mir. You are pleasing to me. And this can be used for things as well as people. Sophia, der Kugel gefällt dir?
Ja, der Kugel gefällt mir.
And if you really like something, you can add a sehr. Der Kugel gefällt Sophia sehr. Now let's take a look at some other types of relationships. A coworker is der Mitarbeiter, plural, die Mitarbeiters. And a colleague is der Kollege, plural, die Kolleges. Both of these are masculine words, even if the coworker or the colleague is a female. A manager is der Verwalter, or die Verwalterke, plural, die Verwalters. And management is die Verwaltung. Der Ballerboss, or die Ballerboste, is a business owner, or it could also mean a landlord or a landlady. This comes from the Hebrew, literally the master and mistress of the house. The plural is Balabatim. Der Shochen, oder die Schochente, is a neighbor. plural, die Shchenim. And der Korev is a relative, die Kroivim in the plural, and this usually refers to extended family. Somebody who comes from the same town, region, or country as oneself is der Landsmann, literally countryman. The plural is die Landsleit. Leit is another word for people.
Oh, my parents were in a Landsmannschaft.
As were my parents. So were mine. Yes, among the immigrant generations there were many Landsmannschaften. These were social associations of people from the same shtetl, or city, or region. In Yiddish, the suffix schaft is equivalent to the English suffix ship. Freundschaft is friendship. Liebschaft? Well, this doesn't have an exact English equivalent, but it's the institution of love. A Mannschaft is a team, like in sports. Think of it as a fellowship. Oi, I see your eyes are kind of glazing over. Have we learned enough for today?
A regular Einstein.
Yes.
Ja,
I
think that's a fair assessment.
Das ist a Sach. Ich verstehe. I understand. Join us again next week when we talk about dates, the kind on the calendar, not the social kind. That would be the rendezvous, borrowed from the French, plural, die Rendezvousen.
What about the kind of date that you eat?
Not that kind either.
Ich will etwas...
Der Tetel, plural, die Tetlin. Nu, seid gesund alle.